Troy, is it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or in Galena.
Okay, let's go.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Northwest with local expert Nick Neal. Now, here's Nick.
Hey, back with you with the men of Keller Williams in Bellevue. Two studly guys, Troy Thiel and Travis Groome. We've got team leader, CEO. I wish I could make a better I've got some sound buttons over here. I just don't know what to push.
Come up with a cool Star Wars
I know, right?
Imperial team leader.
Yeah, I'm just about ready to get a Chewbacca mask for what he did
lady
on Facebook.
Don't get him started on movies and costumes.
Oh, man.
No, don't do that.
But it would have been cool. Anyway, all right. You're going to steal her idea, my idea?
No, definitely.
No one will watch it. I will not go viral.
Oh man! Well, we were talking about buying a house that may not be 100% put together, but it's got good bones. That's what you want to look for: location and bones, and then you can do the rest. And we were talking about flipping. Yeah, we've got companies that sponsors that we work with, that clients. I'm constantly working with people that have 20+ properties, trying to figure out how to get their mortgage aligned. And if you need help with that, we can do that. But they make a lot of money, on some of these flips, and why not buy a house that needs a flip, but keep it? What do you think, Travis? Is that something that's feasible for somebody? They're going to need some guidance, probably.
Of course, and that's the part. We like to be involved in as much, or whatever the buyer situation may be. Some people are more confident in themselves and making those decisions, and some people really feel overwhelmed with, walking into that property that may be 60, 70, 80 years old and hasn't been updated, and so they look at all of those projects and they think, wow, we've got to do everything, and that's hard for some people to see. And there are a lot of companies that you mentioned that, they've got teams that do this for a living, and that's what they go into the space. They make sure location is something you can't duplicate. So if there's a certain area that you want to be in, that's definitely where you would want to start. And then you look at what is your buying power, and in some cases it may be something that nobody has put that renovation into. And if you've got the guidance, and it can be from your real estate broker if they're equipped to do that and want to be involved to that level, which we love to be, helping you make those decisions and figuring out how to be smart about your investment, not over improving. The old adage, you don't want to be the most expensive house in the neighborhood.
Yeah, but you want to be right in there.
But you want to be right in there. There's a comfort
especially
level.
if you're thinking about selling later on.
Absolutely.
A lot of it's like, do what you like. Maybe Robin Zegg and Thiel if you're planning to stay there for 30 years.
Right.
Maybe Rainbow Backsplash in the Kitchen if you're planning to stay there for 50 years.
Right.
But if you want to sell, that's something to think about too. When you're doing this remodeling.
And people don't generally buy for 30 years anymore. We don't find that as many times as our parents and different generations. Certainly, they started a job, they retired from that job, they bought a house, maybe two, depending on the size of the family growth and that kind of thing over the years. But nowadays, when we talk to people, we talk a lot about the 5 to 7 year and the 7 to 10 year. That tends to be kind of that.
Absolutely. You kind of go through these cycles in life. The income levels.
Well, yeah, and different price points. The income. We were in 2 properties today in Medina and Clyde Hill. The Clyde Hill home was completely gut renovated in 6 years ago. And I walked in and we're touring it. We do tours of properties to make sure we know what's updated on the market for our buyers or sellers as well. And this home had been completely renovated, and I said, this looks like a California house.
In a good way or a bad way?
A great way.
Wow,
it was mid-century modern in an exquisite taste, and clearly renovated for the owners that were there.
Right.
And as we made our way around, the listing agent, where we started talking with her, and she says, yeah, they're moving back to California.
Right.
It's things you notice.
You could just tell from the finishes and the colors and the materials.
Probably from Santa Monica. Yeah. Pretty cool people live in Santa Monica.
Just a stunning home, and so they're going to have no problem selling that home.
Yeah.
And they bought it off market. They bought it from a family that had owned it originally since the late 50s, and we're actually still seeing this. You were talking about Ulysses S. Grant from maybe the 1870s, 1880s, but we have
not seen a lot of that.
No.
Because Seattle, and I lived this in Chicago as an agent in the 90s and into the 2000s, because of the era of explosive growth, we're about a generation of home seller away from a lot of that. And so this flipping, or these homes that are being renovated by the existing owners before they sell, there are a lot of opportunities out there. And one of the things about it is a lot of buyers don't want to do the work. So
Sure.
in a very, very hyper-competitive market, you actually take out some of that hyper-competitiveness.
Yeah,
And so
they're performing something that's really needed. Somebody was saying like 2,500 homes in and around within a couple miles of Green Lake that could be rehabbed.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. We're going to start to see a
crazy.
huge shift, and that's where the developers and everybody's going after the same thing.
Some of them are teardowns, but a lot of them are rehabs, and a lot of them have neat character, and they're starting to become neighborhoods of cool houses that were older houses.
But I think that's part of the appeal of the one today, that the one that was renovated, they still stay true to the architecture of the home. You could tell they're very taste specific, and the materials and all of that were incredibly high end. But that also was reflected in the difference in the list price.
Yeah, definitely.
The two were very similar in terms of size. They were relatively similar in terms of location. However, one had phenomenal views of Seattle city skyline, Space Needle, water. So, there is value in that. But property structure-wise, one had not been renovated and was $2.4 million. The other had been fully renovated and was well into the $3.5.
$300,000 to $400,000 turnaround, it would be a completely different home.
Wow.
And would be worth, not as an appraiser or anything,
Yeah.
don't let me misrepresent that, but let's assume it's sold for full list price, which I'm sure it will. Like Troy said, if it's a $300,000 or $400,000 renovation, which sounds like a really big number, all in you'd still be at 2.7, and the house, I would guess, you could probably turn around and sell it in another year for 3.3, 3.5.
Crazy.
And if the market continues to appreciate the way, and if people can see that and go into those properties that need to be updated and do it themselves, you absolutely can have a great return on that investment in a relatively short amount of time.
Well,
Exactly.
and Nick, in your world, mortgages, I mean, we're at almost all-time lows.
It's
for
ridiculous.
rates.
Yeah,
So,
I'm just sending out notes again, on people looking at houses. Every time interest rates come down, your monthly payment comes down, regardless of what the price of the house is. So, and that's something that you got to keep for 30 years to pay off. So that's a huge factor, when you're looking at higher home prices.
Absolutely.
Being able to afford more home, a 1%, we were looking at a 1% change in interest rates, which is a big one, but people are saying sometime down the pike that could be coming. Going from the 4s to the 5s on like a $600,000 house is like $500 or $600 a month.
it's a big number. When I got into the business in the early 90s, it was 8.5%, 9%.
Oh gosh, yeah. Let's hope we don't get there.
Let's hope not.
Well, I just don't want to freak people out with the $2.5 and $3 million homes too.
But it's across the price.
Yeah,
it's
but
across
exactly.
every
That's what I'm going to
spectrum.
say. If you're looking at a $250,000 house in Bonnie Lake, which you still may be able to find if you look, if it's a fixer-upper, or downtown Seattle or someplace a little ways from Seattle in the 4s and 5s maybe to start. The concept's the same.
I've seen
5,
properties
4, 5, and it's going. By the time you rehab, it's going to be $850.
I've seen properties in Kirkland that we've considered in the mid 3s, 4s. That if we do the right 100,
And that's $300,000, $400,000 million.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
In the 3s and 4s.
3 to 400,000. It's
Wow.
And one of the things too is we're in a new era of how you can renovate a home. The sustainability. There's some amazing green features that have been in the marketplace, and now the pricing is at a point where it makes so much sense. The return on
Like
investment.
windows.
Absolutely.
Windows, solar.
High efficiency. You get tax incentives for some of those
They
updates.
pay you. It's
They pay
crazy.
you to renovate your
Yeah.
house. Well, we talked about, in that lower price point, even that there are different options for people that may not have the cash up front for these, sizable down payments. And let's be honest, even at a $300,000 or $400,000 price point, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
And when people can go into that, and there's options, and you certainly know in the mortgage world that you can do a home equity loan against that home.
Oh yeah,
and have
those
that
are totally coming back. Now the
totally
appreciation's coming back. They're like, fine, we'll lend money on
We'll do
something that's going to
that.
be worth
And
more
it's,
next year.
Again,
than
tax
now.
incentive,
Yeah.
so it's not like you're just throwing money out the door, but it's not upfront cash that you've got the liability, or if it's not sitting in your checking account that you don't have access to. And the banks they're confident enough that yes, if you do these improvements, that it'll still be worth X amount of dollars, and you've still got a great investment.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
that
we're
gives
telling
people options.
They get a new garage, they want to go buy 2 new cars. It's like, no, don't buy 2 new cars. Take that home equity line out and put new stuff
You
in.
hate that surprise.
or
2
these
days
huge
before
balances.
closing.
With Home Depot and stuff too, people are doing that, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do your own.
Absolutely.
On
Oh yeah,
the
fine.
remodel.
Karen and I, my wife and I, bought a home in Evanston back in the late '90s, and
Is that out by
Illinois?
Okay.
Yeah, right next to Chicago. Go Cubs!
Not another neighborhood of
This could be the year for the Cubs. Anyway, having said that, It was a home I'd actually shown to 8 buyers, 8 different sets of buyers, and the price kept coming down. I actually knew the sellers. I played softball with him. He was a professor at Northwestern University in journalism, and they dropped the price $50,000 in one day. And I called my wife and I said, people can't see past the crappy wallpaper, the flooring, the wood floors need to be redone, the paint colors are horrible, and the fixtures are bad.
Was it the Christmas wrapping wallpaper?
Oh, it was red and white.
Always a stripe.
And this is an 1894 Victorian, a beautiful home,
man.
and it went from the first floor to the second floor to the third floor. And in 2 days, that wallpaper was gone. Actually, within 2 hours after the closing, I went and the wallpaper came off like butter. Came straight off. I had the plastic.
Okay, you got lucky because usually you have to steam it. If
Oh
you
yeah,
well.
but
Don't be giving
that.
false
I was very lucky.
Everybody out there is ripping their wallpaper off and it's killing the sheetrock.
You would have ripped this wallpaper off, believe me so. And then we painted and we put some beautiful, nice light fixtures that we were able to buy in bulk and get some rates from a great nearby lighting store. Had the wood floors refinished. And the 2 kids that grew up in the home, when they came back 2 weeks after we finished the project, they didn't think it was the same house.
Yeah,
they
recognize it?
Jack wanted to show them the house. They go, this isn't our home.
That's awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, we'll be right back after the break. Real Estate Radio Northwest, talking more about what you can do buying a house in Seattle if you don't want to spend your top-end budget.
Any questions? So it'll roll up if there's more questions.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell them to share too.
All right.
Share,
Share,
so we can get some more people on there.
It's just too much to pay attention to.
I
I'm
know,
like
it is.
trying to scroll.
I
and
know.
read
There's
and
Rosemary. Rosemary! Hey!
Hit that share button.
Share this, Rosemary. Ask us a question. You may win a drawing for a gift card.
For $500. Or what do we
That
have
Nick's
now?
paying for. I don't know. He started at
We're taking
$50,000.
donations.
Yeah.
Do I hear?
At the end of the show, we'll be auctioning it off.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah. $1.
If you sign up today.
That's funny. Now I'm like completely wrapped up in the cord here because I keep reading that phone, this phone. I don't know which one to pay attention to.
Oh, man.
Too much going on.
Cool. Yeah, and be sure, whether it's now during live or if you're watching this after the show, ask questions. We'll go back and check for questions, and if there's anything we can get back to you with information, we'll do that. So
Cool.
Got some cool big brains in the studio.
That is hilarious to watch the delay there.
I know.
That's the
it is.
confusing part.
I know,
You're like,
right?
wait, Troy's microphone is like completely right in front of my face, which is a good thing, so we don't
Yeah.
scare people. No, we don't want to scare the young children.
Okay.
I know.
So that, then I'm like, I didn't move that way.
It's totally like that when you have, because we do
I'm
call-ins
moving slow.
sometimes when we're doing live, and people will be listening to the radio and trying to talk on the phone because the delay on the radio is a couple seconds. And you
can't do it.
No.
Danger.
Turn your radio down.
Robinson.
You even see on people that have like concerts, and these are people that do this professionally, and they take the, I guess the return out or whatever in the earbud thing because it's too hard to hear the echo
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and stay in pace with the music, and I never knew that's why they were doing it.
Huh.
But you get on radio and you realize that your question is not aligned with my answer or the other way around maybe, and it's a little confusing.
Technology.
Cool.
All right. Cool.
You ready?
So, what do you want to cover in the next group? What's the?
This is 3 and 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think we can talk about agent communication. We talked a lot about what makes great agents, how it goes beyond the price and the contract and the paperwork sometimes. And
Well, let's take this what
What
we
do
just
people
talked
need?
about, and then kind of take what makes an agent great, to help lead people through this
Yeah.
process who might be willing to
Yeah.
do that, and then we'll talk about that customer experience and how an agent's role is more than just putting the listing in the.
100%. We
Yeah.
talk a lot about discount brokerage fees and defending your commission, and anytime people are in sales positions, you don't walk into a grocery store and take the gallon of milk to the counter and say, hey, I know it says $4, but I'll give you $3 for it if you'll sell it right now. You just don't do that. But in commission positions, people tend to be more likely to ask, and sometimes, we had a great conversation in our team meeting yesterday about if you've really established your value to that client as what we do and beyond just pushing paperwork,
Yeah.
you don't have that question very often.
Yeah.
It's surprising to me
Yeah.
how much conversation I hear from some agents that, everybody wants to list for, 1% less or 2% less, whatever. And I'm like, well, you haven't done your job.
Yeah.
So let them know what it is that you do and what your value is.
So we can get into that with stage 3, and at some
Yeah.
point, maybe even 4, we can talk about how that's just a common theme of what we're about and how we're
Yeah.
trying to help
Yeah,
agents.
no,
help
and
everyone.
it's funny because you really do a lot of times get what you pay for. If you're in a murder trial
It's an old saying for a reason, right? Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
picked the gun up off the floor out of the pool of blood next to the dead body, and the police came, and you're like, are you thinking, gosh, I wonder if I can get a 50% lawyer?
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
What's was it Redfin Attorney's Office? You know, they pay their commission back.
Everybody here is thinking now, well, is somebody being killed in a house a material fact? Should my agent have told me that?
Some states you have to disclose that.
That's the question that people ask.
In California, I believe you have to disclose if there's a poltergeist.
There's been a murder? Oh,
If there's a poltergeist, if there are, yeah. That's
Really?
I hadn't heard that, but maybe it's a wives' tale.
Yeah.